Yeah, what's going on, peeps? Listen, Gooners, good win last night. Absolutely fantastic result for us, not just for the fan base, but for these kids as well. Listen, let's throw up a word for these kids right now. Arsenal are the third youngest team in the Premiership this season, but just goes to show the work that Arteta has been doing. Now, listen, the level of minutes that these guys have been playing is astronomical. I mean, Saka's played over 1,400 minutes. Willock's played over 1,200 minutes. And Nelson has played over, I believe it's nearly 800 minutes. And even Smith Rowe is nearly 400 minutes. So these guys, we're getting maximum commitment from these kids. And look at the results. Now, look, before I go into last night's game, I just want to talk about what I've been saying with Arteta. I have come out and said previously in my videos that we cannot judge him until he plays at least 5 to 10 games. That's when, as fans, we know we're going to get a rough idea and balance of what the squad looks like. The players starting to understand what the system and tactics are, to the point where the boss is actually not trying to teach them what to do, yeah? He's gone through the motions of what they need to do, and they're embracing it, and they're running out and doing it. And that way, the boss can then look at other things in terms of game planning, yeah? It's hard to game plan for a team when your players don't even know what you want them to do in the first place. So now that the players know what Arteta needs them to do, he can now start to take the upper level and game plan for other teams. Now, look, this is where we are right now. 8 games gone, 4 draws, 3 wins and a loss. And the loss to Chelsea was a joke, yeah? But here we are, guys. After 8 games, Arteta's sitting in pretty good stead. The team has barely lost any games. I believe the goal difference is now 0.92, whereas it was 2.31 goals per game. So we was averaging letting in 2 goals a game, and now we're under Emery, and now we're averaging letting in just under a goal a game. So the defense has improved. And to be honest with you, last night, letting a goal in the 94th minute, well, I mean, what did they play? 10, 11 minutes of injury time? That was crazy. That was bonkers. I thought that the ref was doing one on us again. You know, we ain't had much luck with officials this season. So for me, listen, the game last night, solid, came out with the right attitude, pressed them from the start, and these are the young guns again, showing and proving. Yo, 4 of our last goals have been scored by players under the age of 21. Yeah, Martinelli, 18 years old, Saka, 18 years old, Nketiah, who's 20. So Arsenal right now, these kids are pushing the momentum of this team. And it just goes to show the guys who we would love to depend on, like the Lacazette ain't scored in 9 games now. They need to pull their socks up if this team is ever going to push for a top 4 spot. Or even the FA Cup, or even the Europa Cup. These kids cannot do it by themselves. They have been playing marvellously of late, which leads me into last night's result. Last night's result, listen, Saka at left back. I mean, Arteta's now got to seriously think about whether he wants to put him in that position regardless. Look, we know that they were after Kazawa, who's a left back at PSG, and Arsenal seem to have stepped back from that deal at the moment. I know PSG have been lowering their demands, but it looks like Arteta's saying, look, mate, there's a lot of activity going up at the top, and a lot of positions are up for grabs. But at left back, we don't actually have any cover for Kieran Tierney outside of Kolasinac, and Kolasinac isn't a left back, he's a wing back. There's a big difference between the two. So you can play him at a 3 at the back formation, but when you're playing 4 at the back formation, Kolasinac isn't the person you really want running the channels. Now, look, Saka can do that, yeah? He can do that. But it's up to the player whether he wants to be in a position where Maitland-Niles is. Maitland-Niles, we know he doesn't want to play right back. We know that. And he can adequately fill in. And when I mean adequately, I mean he does a job. Saka's doing more of a job at left back. In fact, he's looked better there than Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney at times has looked like he's struggling to get up to the pace of the Premiership. But Saka is has not even blinked as far as I'm concerned. He's looked fantastic, and he's confident. The choice is to him now. Arteta really has to say to him, look, there's a spot on this team for you in this position where I can guarantee you're going to get games. But if I play you further up the field, I can't guarantee that you're going to get much games. It's going to be a situation like that where Saka's going to have to say, all right, boss, you know what? Play me wherever you need to play me. Yeah? I'm a utility man. So I think that that's probably going to be the conversation they're having. But look, they don't really have to go that far. I think that we've done it with Niles, and it's something that we can do with Saka. And if he looks great there, going up and down the field, he's definitely given us the offensive output in that position. Defensively, he's filled in and he's done a job, and he always has. Even when he played further up the pitch in the top three, he was always backtracking and covering the left back. So that's something he was doing regardless. So we know he can tackle. But listen, big shout out to Guendouzi, who really just ran the show. He was pulling the strings in yesterday's game. A marvel display from Guendouzi. A little bit like what we saw at the beginning of the season when he was practically our best player. I believe he had 4 man of the matches in our first 7 games. Remember, earlier on before we had 10 games, we were 3rd in the Premiership before we went onto a nosedive before that Sheffield United game. So listen, I think that the players done really well. Willock again, another strong game from Willock yesterday. But for me, it's a shame what happened to Mustafi. Mustafi actually put in a solid game yesterday, and I'll talk about these solid games that he has and these mental breakdowns. I mean, whether he was going to have one or not, we don't know because he came off injured. But, you know, he did really well yesterday. Xhaka also played really well, and he is improving game on game. And it's strange because we were at first saying, why does Arteta want him to stay? And Arteta obviously has a role for him, and he's playing a part in that role. They're doing what the manager wants them to do. And I really like the shape and the look of this Arsenal team. In those 8 games, literally, I think it was a Sheffield Wednesday game, we didn't really come out with the intensity and the impact that we had done of late. And that was the only game that we kind of dropped off a little bit, but in the second half we came on strong. So look, I don't really mind if we don't start strong and we finish strong, or we start strong and then we finish averagely. I mean, you can't keep up that tempo, can you? That rondo pressing style is hard to do over 90 minutes. So you have to game manage, and I think that's what Arteta's doing. He was hard at the players. They're still working on their fitness levels, but after 8 games, they get it. The players get it. You know, Eddie Nketiah is killing them in practice and training. He's killing them, and that's the reason why Arteta did not want to get him to be sent out on loan. And these decisions are really paying off for him in the first team. He's been able to fortify himself in the team, and he scores every time you play him. I mean, he did with Leeds. You know, he was a second top scorer with 5 goals. And with Arsenal, when he came on for Lacazette against Sheffield United, you could see that there was something about him. The way that he was running into space, pointing to where he wants the ball to go, his movement was exceptional. Much better than what I've seen from Lacazette. And that's the reason why Nketiah got on the goal sheet last night, because his movement, he starts to move in the midfield, then he runs in, he goes past the centre-back, and the ball is played perfectly from Saka on the left. And then he comes in and then he tucks it in onto the left corner. Goalkeeper doesn't have a chance. But listen, these things are happening because of what they're working on in training. They're listening to what Arteta's asking them to do. And listen, I've talked about what he's done with Raheem Sterling, Mendy, what he's done with Kevin De Bruyne at Manchester City. And if these kids take on board what Arteta is saying to them and they continue to grow with him, it's early days, yeah? Proper early days now. But if they continue to grow with him, then we've got something special here, guys. So listen, a big, big win. We've got Portsmouth in the next round. And then it's going to be happy days from there, because remember, the semi-finals are all played at Wembley. So I think that, listen, I think that this team is going to be... I'd love to have Spurs. Oh, my God. I'd love to be at Arsenal Spurs semi-final at Wembley. That would be a dream come true. That would be a dream come true. I really would like to play them, guys. But yeah, listen, my man, obviously, Saka, man of the match, just on point again. And that's his second man of the match in the last 4 games as well. These guys are just getting it done. but I now question the veterans to step up. We should have David Luiz and Aubameyang back at the away game against Burnley. So listen, I'll touch up on that later on in the week and see where we go from there. All right, guys, listen, big shout out to Gooner Nation, Gooner Squad 101. Big up to everybody, man. Peace out.